want to make it official?
That's done.
And add another.
Before either. Yeah. It can. Just take a moment. I mean,
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Newark Municipal Council's special meeting and conference meeting. Madam President, in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice has been provided to the Star Ledger, the Jersey Journal, and to the public at large establishing the date, time, and location of this meeting. May I have a roll call of those present, please?
Amador?
Present.
Present.
McCallum absent. Schreiber absent. Osborne.
Present.
yeah.
Ramos absent. President Trump.
Present. On the agenda, Madam President, Resolution 7R8A is an authorizing resolution for the Office of Municipal Council City Clerk for a hold harmless and indemnification agreement for the annual Children's Halloween Parade and Festival.
Yeah, you're right. I agree.
Councilman Quintana wishes to sponsor. Do I have a second?
Is there a mover, a sponsor? Oh, sponsor. By Councilman Quintana. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Osborne.
Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Yes.
McCallum absent.
Yes.
McDonough.
Yes.
Ramos.
The home harmless.
Yes.
Halloween.
Yes.
7R8B is an authorizing resolution for the Office of Municipal Council City Clerk for a hold harmless and indemnification agreement for a community performance. This is the use of Eastside High School. Councilman Amador wishes to move. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
That's it?
Amador. Yes. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Yes.
Schreiber absent. Osborne.
Yes.
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 President Trump.
Yes.
Resolution to close the voting portion of this meeting. Council of the whole.
Roll call, please.
Amador. Yes. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Yes.
Schreiber absent. Osborne.
Yes.
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 Yes. Mr. Clerk, for the record, Councilman McCallum is out because of illness.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. We are now in the conference meeting. Item for the agenda today is a discussion of the facade program. Will Mr. Palmieri please come to the microphone?
Good morning,
Good morning.
Morning.
President, council members. I've made copies of reports that identify the key features of the facade program that have been given to the clerk for distribution. What I'd like to do is just highlight the key features of the program and take any particular questions that you may have. The program was initiated in 2016, so it's a fairly new program. It provides $15,000 forgivable loans in increments of 20% a year over a 5-year term for residents throughout the city who apply on a first-come, first-served basis for these funds that we've dedicated for this purpose. The loans are meant to encourage homeowners to do basic exterior repairs on their properties, from replacing soffits and repairing eaves, to replacing defective windows, to painting, to doing concrete sidewalk improvements into the premises. Those kinds of improvements that functionally improve the condition of their property and also beautify the neighborhood. To date, there have been 86 approvals of facade program forgivable loans that have taken place citywide in every ward, and 61 of those 86 facades have been completed. One other point that I'd make to the council is that we require the homeowner, as part of his or her obligation, to identify 3 contractors. We work through the homeowner's selection of contractors who need to be qualified to execute the improvements. But again, it's a forgivable loan if the homeowner keeps the premises in good repair and maintains ownership, he or she then signs off at the end of the term and the mortgage is
Madam
waived.
President, if I may.
So the,
I'm giving him the opportunity to work his way to a period. So when you do,
I have a quick question, because a lady came here the other day, and she indicated that someone in Economic and Housing Development recommended to her the contractor, and apparently she has some issues with the contractor, and the contractor hasn't completed the work that was supposed to have been done in the house. And you now indicate that you are providing 3 names, or that the person has to bring 3 names. So what happened in that case?
well, Councilman, if what you're saying is true, and that is that one of the staff people recommended a contractor, I just can't verify the accuracy of that. And to the extent that it may be true, I think that they may have purely been doing it to help the homeowner get 3 competent contractors to bid on the job. But I just don't know whether or not that claim is correct. In the event that it is, though, I think that maybe it was because the homeowner was having trouble identifying contractors to do the work. Oh,
Hi, Julio Colon, Director of Housing. With respect to contractors, we have a list of contractors that's just a list that's just provided to the homeowner, and they go ahead. It's not that we've identified, we certify that they're qualified and they're licensed contractors, and we provide that to the homeowner. The homeowner then goes ahead and identifies 3 contractors. It could be on that list or off the list as well. We do not select.
How someone gets on the list?
They're just contractors that we've identified out of affirmative action, or we've identified contractors that have done work in the city before.
yes, Councilman Ramos.
I strongly suggest that the city consider, having some kind of process where you would pre-qualify contractors, have an open competitive process where contractors can apply and solicit to be part of a pre-approved list. I mean, this is problematic because you may have contractors in the city who were not afforded the opportunity to be part of this list and could, in fact, file some kind of challenge to us. So I think to protect ourselves and to be equitable and open, I would ask the BA to work with the director and deputy mayor to create some kind of process so that we can, in fact, pre-qualify and give people an opportunity to apply to be part of this program.
Any other? Councilman Amador.
I noticed that there's a big disparity between the East Ward and the rest of the city. If you look at, for example, the difference between the South Ward and the West Ward and the North Ward, Central Ward, in comparison to the East Ward has 1 application for the entire year. That could mean 2 things. Could mean that people out there do not know about this program, or they neglect to apply. I hope we don't interpret, for example, that only 1 application was made from the East Ward as a sign that there are folks in the East Ward that do not need help. One of the things that we should do as elected officials is look into the future and see how communities change. If you take a ride on Hawkins Street, for example, or through Pennsylvania Avenue, you'll see that those 2 neighborhoods are, if not helped, they'll continue to go down in terms of the quality of life. This is a perfect program that could be used to upgrade the quality of life of those neighborhoods that need some help from us. And if it's appropriate, I would like to know whatever details are available, because, for example, on the Hawkins Street area, there are some homes that are vacant because they've never been fixed. They just, for whatever the reasons are, The same thing happens in the Pennsylvania Avenue area.
Yep.
So what I would like to have is, what can we do to make these resources available to those people who live in those particular areas? The fact that we have only one application from the East Ward, it doesn't mean that we don't have people in the East Ward who don't need this program. They do. And I don't want to see those neighborhoods continue to go down, because our job is to provide the resources for those neighborhoods to continue to move up.
Understood, Councilman. I would say that we take the applications as they come. We advertise on the city's website. We go to community meetings. So it's not through lack of effort to communicate the availability of the program, but I understand your comment. And there are probably multiple homes in your ward, as there are in every ward, who can use this improvement funding. So we understand that.
Can I ask for one particular thing from you? I need to get the details in terms of how this program functions, so I can disseminate this information to the community, because especially to those folks who own those homes that are either vacant or need repairs. I need that information to be available.
We'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman, yes, Gonzalez.
Yes, in the summary that you have here, it says that up to $5,000 forgivable loan for eligible closing costs. And then the next line says must be primary residence. So if I have a house and I buy another house to be my primary residence, do I qualify? Or has to be the first-time purchaser?
First-time
Yes.
homeowner.
That's correct.
Yes.
Madam President?
Yes, Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, how much money do you allocate every year for this program?
We base it, we get home income, so that's what we've been using so far. So it's averaged around $200,000 that we've been using, averaging on an annual basis.
For both?
Yeah, a combination of both.
Are city employees eligible for this?
That's a different program, and the city includes those funds for the employees, and that's a separate employee assistance program, and we
They're
manage
not
that as
eligible
well.
For this program?
I'm sorry?
A city employee wouldn't be able to apply for either of these?
They would have to be home income qualified. They would have to qualify under the home guidelines.
And how is this advertised? Do you do?
That's
It's
my
the website. On the website, it's on, like the director said, it's at meetings that we attend and people that come into our office. Because it's such limited funds, if we were to go ahead and do a mass mailing on this, the funds would be gone very quickly. So it's very difficult to do that kind of advertising with respect to this type of program because of the limited dollars.
And what kind of guarantees do you need back from the property owner? Like, do they have to use their house as collateral?
Well, yes, we put a lien on the property for 5 years, and each year 20% of that lien is deducted.
Yeah, I would just encourage the department to figure out a way to distribute the assistance a little more equitable. You know, it looks like Councilman mentioned, I mean, out of the completed projects, you have more than half that have been completed in 1 out of 5 wards. And you know, that doesn't seem, I think every resident of the city deserves equal access to programs and benefits and entitlements.
Yeah, let me address that disparity. Initially, if you recall, a few years ago, the council had approved an ordinance with respect to M&I areas. And we had approved this particular project specifically for the M&I areas. Okay. Then, because the program that people felt that there wasn't enough distribution given throughout the city, we decided to expand it. But it was originally designed to service particularly the M&I areas.
Correct.
That's why you see a difference in numbers. 2016, we had more of individuals in the M&I areas. 2017, we had changed that, and you see that there are more of the distribution in the other areas. So we have that breakdown as well, how many are in the M&I area.
Well, at least I'm proud to say that we're betting 1,000, 1 out of 1.
I believe the M&I areas, to be clear, were in the south and the west.
Yes.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments?
I just want to thank you, John, for this information. I know I was a recipient a couple of years ago of the closing cost assistance, and I think it's a great program. I always advertise to my constituents about the program to promote it, because, you know, that's our job too, to promote these good initiatives in the city. So thank you for this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are now in the public speaking portion of this meeting.
Mr. Clerk, we have another presentation from the BA. I'm sorry, I was also just informed. I understand that the business administrator is going to share some information about the water.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Council President. Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. As we know, that there was a report that indicated that there were some findings of excess lead levels in certain parts of the city. The eastern parts of the city were unaffected. The other parts of the city may have had elevated lead levels. As a result of that, the city has contracted with Pure to provide up to 40,000 water filters to those affected homes. There are distribution centers throughout the city. They're available on our websites or by contacting the water department. In addition, the water department is going door to door in the affected areas to provide filters to citizens who want them and who are affected. That process started last Friday, and it has been continuing successfully. And for those residents who need additional information, they can contact the water department. And there are websites. I don't have the address handy, but I'll try to get that before the end of the council session so that we can present those websites to the individuals.
Good. Councilman James, Councilwoman, McIver, and I think I saw Councilman Gonzalez's hand in that order.
I had the opportunity to talk with some water department representatives, and just want to be clear for the public that this only affects 1, 2, and 3 family homes who have lead service lines, those homes that were built before 1986. So we're going to work with the DEP to make sure those homes and seniors and children get filters delivered to them. If not, they can pick them up in one of 5 areas, JFK, Boylan, and Green Acres at Lyons and Leslie Street in the South Ward. So we just look forward to working with the city until we can get this situation resolved. But it is the service lines and not the water.
Yeah, to that point, Councilman James, you're absolutely correct. There's one modification to that. It could be a home that has lead in their plumbing or in the solder. So it could be in addition to the lead service lines, there could be a modicum of leaching that comes from other lead factors as well. But it is principally homes that are actually up to 4 family. Larger homes are served by different service lines that are not affected by the lead.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Good morning, Mr. Pennington. Is there any way that we can possibly get a list? I sent an email last week in regards to receiving a list of the affected properties by ward, because we're getting a lot of calls to our office, and then the website was not working. I went on a few times myself to try to type in the address or look for the field to do it, and it was not working. Many people have been calling the office complaining about how they cannot get on the website. So if we can get a list, we can kind of help with those phone calls and direct people to the right location to pick up one, or at least alarm them that they have nothing to be alarmed about because they're not even an affected area. That would be really helpful, especially for the council offices.
Certainly. My understanding is that the website did have some difficulty yesterday, but by the end of the day, it had been rectified, but we'll make sure that we get that information to you. But generally, the eastern part of the city is not affected because it's on a different water system than the rest of the city.
Correct.
Councilman Gonzalez.
I just want to add one
and
more
then
thing, and if you
Councilman
guys need anything, definitely any assistance, or my office is available to assist, so definitely just let us know if you need us to pitch in, hand out a water filter, whatever it may be, definitely let us know.
We appreciate that. My understanding is that Andrea Mason has coordinated all of the, or is working to coordinate all the council aides and the mayoral aides to assist in this effort. And if any of your council aides have not been contacted, can I impose upon you to have them reach out to Andrea Mason so that she can coordinate that?
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Gonzalez and
Just to
Councilman
emphasize, that I suppose that, or I understand that we tested the water up to the curve, and the water coming to the curve is not affected, that any kind of lead comes after the curve into the house.
Yes, the water from Newark's systems, both reservoirs, is uncontaminated with lead. There's no lead in the source water. There's no lead up to the point that the water enters the homeowner's service line. These service lines are owned by the homeowners, and in fact, the city is prohibited from touching those lead service lines unless they have permission from the homeowners. But to your point, up to the point that the water is introduced to the homeowner's lead service line, there is no contamination whatsoever. The water is pristine.
And we have tests to support that.
We do.
Madam President.
Councilman Ramos?
Ramos, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you, Madam President.
My phone went off.
Yeah, I just want to say that Friday at the press conference, I had offered to utilize my community office as a potential distribution site. I have actual, people, residents that have been coming in every day asking, and I was told yesterday that they couldn't set us up because there's some kind of problem with the software. But, my feedback is, how are these other distribution centers able to distribute filters if there's a problem with the software? So,
I think that's a mischaracterization. The software has been modified and updated on a regular basis and has included information that we've found as we've gone forward to make sure that it's as up-to-date and as accurate and as user-friendly as possible. The issue is not, though, with the software in your particular location. It's that we have a limited number of user logins and licenses. So the people that are able to use them are assigned to the specific areas. We can have water and sewer delivered to anybody that you want. Anybody who's affected, we can have water and sewer deliver something to their home. And we can look at whether or not we can increase the licenses so that the distribution can be made through.
Yeah, we made that request, and I would like to have, our little city hall set up to do the actual distribution, because we have residents coming in every day, and it'd be a lot easier for them as opposed to having to go cross town to pick up a water filter. And my second question is that, I know there's, I understand based on what's been explained to me, the cause of the problem, but my question is that, the East Ward in particular isn't affected, based on the information that we received, and there are properties in the East Ward that were built before 1985 and have these supposed, lead service lines. So how come they're not affected by elevated levels, and then properties in the rest of the city are affected? Is it that the treatment that's been used in our particular water system has not worked, as opposed to the water system in the East Ward?
The short answer is yes. The two systems have been treated with a corrosion control mechanism that is different. The corrosion control mechanism that was in the Pequannock system worked for a period of time, but it has broken down and is no longer as effective as it should be. The corrosion control mechanism that is in the system that serves the East Ward in the eastern part of the city has been effective, and so we're switching over to that corrosion control mechanism in the rest of the city. It takes about 6 to 8 months for that corrosion control mechanism to be as effective as it needs to be, and that's why we're providing alternative means of eliminating excess lead for a period of up to 1 year.
So the discussion around the lead service line, we understand, it's a problem all over, but in this particular case, you know, there are lead service lines in the East Ward, but their water is not affected.
That's right. The corrosion control mechanism has been effective in that area.
Councilman Osborne?
Yeah, Eric, good morning.
Good morning.
Is any way possible that you could put filters on the lead lines as opposed to putting them on the faucets? Because I understand a lot of people have been having problems with the faucets. Or maybe even shutting down the lead lines and using temporary piping?
The lead line, there's a lead line program. It's a separate program, but there is a lead line program where the city has partnered with the state to provide up to $75 million in funding to eradicate the lead line issue. That's a long-term process. Homeowners are responsible for their own lead lines, but the city is making funds available to defray the costs of the replacement of the lead service lines. That's just going to be a longer process. If the filter doesn't fit on one's faucet, the alternative that we have is to provide them with a pitcher that has the appropriate filter.
Any other comments? Councilman Amador, sorry.
You stated it, and it has been stated that the residents of the East Ward should not be in a state of panic in terms of lead in the water. However, they can still call for a test if they want to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any resident who wants to have their water tested may do so. I'd go beyond stating that the East Ward residents shouldn't be in a state of panic. There's no issue whatsoever for them to have a level of concern regarding excess lead in their water. Now, parking might be an issue, but not the lead in the water.
Well, parking doesn't, it's another issue.
Entirely.
We'll spend some time doing that.
Absolutely.
We've been joined by the Deputy Director. I don't know if you want to have any comments or observations that you would share with the community.
Mind inviting, please, Mr. Dean, step on up.
Kareem Adeem, Assistant Director, Department of Water and Sewer.
Good morning.
Was your question?
No, I think the Council President asked
Yes.
what you wanted to add.
No, Councilman, I just want to add that we're aggressively out in the Pequannock system, providing filters. We have a street team out. Our Central Avenue location is open at 10 o'clock. The Recreation Center is open to 8 p.m. to 7, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at night, Monday through Friday. On a weekend, 11 to 6 p.m. The Health Department is open from 8 a.m. to 4:30, Monday through Friday, giving out filters, and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 o'clock.
What about for the North Ward? Where would North Ward
So
residents?
the North Ward residents can pick up at the Vince Lombardi Centers of Hope. Our mobile command post will be at Councilman Ramos's office tomorrow. That's our mobile command. The Beast, Water Beast 1 will be out tomorrow. That's the big bread truck we got. We'll be giving out filters on Mount Prospect Avenue.
Any other questions?
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are now in the public speaking portion of this meeting. This is a 30-minute period in which speakers will be given 3 minutes to speak. When you step to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. You'll see a small timing device on the podium in front of you, which will begin counting down your time when you begin speaking. When you reach the 2-minute mark, the yellow light will illuminate, indicating that you have 1 minute remaining for a summation. When you reach the 3rd minute, a red light will illuminate, and there will be an audible sound. Please look forward and speak into the microphone. We are recording these proceedings, and if you turn away, we may miss part of your statement. Please address questions to the chair and not to individual council members. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak at this time?
Somebody got to speak up for the residents, because it sure ain't y'all. Manira El Boumani, proud resident of Newark. First, I want to say that to the residents, there is a district court hearing on October the 26th at 9 a.m. at the 50 Walnut District Court about the water. And I also want to say, who do you believe, Newark residents, the State Attorney General or our incompetent administration here? Who do you believe, the AG or incompetency? That's a question to you all. I'm gonna come back with the issues that I had 8 seconds to speak about. at the last council meeting, and I asked the question and still need answers. The city gave $2.5 million, or is giving $2.5 million of HUD money for the Shaquille O'Neal project. But y'all couldn't find, we still got homeless people splattered out all over the city of Newark, sleeping in the cold. I want to ask the question, why couldn't y'all find $2.5 million to allocate towards homelessness from these developers or these corporations who owe the city funding? For one more month to keep the people in the shelter, why you couldn't find $200,000 to house them for one more month? Also, I asked what happened to the Impact Newark construction program that Shaquille O'Neal said he was supposed to be doing. I asked the question, do you have an answer? Also, I want to give you the definition that I spoke about the other day about political blackballing, that some of you, I said, are co-conspirators of. And the meaning of political blackballing, I'm going to give you the exact meaning. The meaning is to conspire to ruin someone's reputation until they become unemployable and people refuse to associate themselves with them. That's the meaning of political blackballing. And I want to ask the question to you all. Should it be a criminal offense or a civil charge? Answer the question. Because you know what's going on. We had several people come here, from Deborah Salters to the guy from Newark Public Schools. You know, we had, what's the name, Al Tariq Akwe, as I said before, that attacked Councilwoman Gail Cheneyfield and told her personally to her face that he was going to ruin her career. This administration was going to ruin her career, okay? So I asked the question, and I gave you a definition of what political blackballing means. So should it be a criminal offense or a civil offense? Which one should it be? Answer the question.
Ms. Bomani, this is a hearing. Thank you.
Well,
Next speaker, Mr. Clerk.
Supposedly our council members, can't we come to you for counsel? I asked you a question. Should it be civil or criminal? Which one?
Next speaker, Mr. Clerk.
Yeah, I know you ain't got no answer.
Donald Jackson, 79 Tracy Avenue, Newark, New Jersey, 07108, 1531. Sometimes you got to be careful what you say here at the mic, because unfortunately nowadays we take things so personal. We forget the business of servicing the residents of the city of Newark. Now, I'm a little confused about what's going on with this water, not to the fact that there's lead in the water, there's also other particles and other things going on with the water, but I'm confused because during the election time, the city sent out a mass email and flyer and social media blitz saying that there was nothing wrong with the water and that it was the residents' service lines. And, you know, I kind of felt like the blame was placed on the residents because they lived in a house that was 100 years old and, you know, never got their pipes replaced, and, you know, that it was their fault. But then I read this article that said that it's in fact that the water isn't being properly treated to prevent the corrosion of the pipes, and the lead in the pipes could leach onto water. So, you know, it's not a surprise that we've had this issue, and people have stated facts. This is one of the third oldest city in America, and we've been around for a very long time. So with that said, I'm pretty sure that filtering isn't going to be the only solution, and it can't be the only solution. Am I correct? So maybe I haven't been listening hard enough, but what is the overall remedy of fixing this water issue? Is there going to be a mass infrastructure repair that should have happened 50 years ago? Because this is a quick fix. Filtering don't last forever. And we're filtering drinking water, because some of the filters that I hear that are going out can't use hot water. But what's going to go with the water that we cook with, that we bathe with? You know, what does the future look like? And, proper planning prevents poor performance. So if we're not prepared to look at ways to seek funding to fix our infrastructure, then what are we doing? We have issues with our roads. Our roads are crumbling. Our foundations are crumbling. Newark is falling right beneath our feet. So I'm asking my legislative body on the city level, on the county level, on the state level, on the federal level, what are we going to do and what are we prepared to do to fix our aging infrastructure? We should have replaced these pipes 50 years ago. Pipe on my block's been there since 1880. Like, seriously. So, I say that, take what you take away from it, if anybody's interested, but whatever.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Anyone else?
Good morning, Donna Jackson, 128 Smith Street.
Good morning.
I just want to let you all know, I'm meeting with the Attorney General, and I'm asking him to file all of you as co-conspirators in this, because you're sitting back as if you don't know what's going on. The AG's office said both treatment plants are compromised, both of them. So today we still continue, the live last night we still continue to say there's only one affected area. That's a lie. You out your own mouth with your lying selves, you said everything built before 86. So now all of a sudden my house got a lead pipeline going into it, but the damn senior buildings don't.
Ms. Jackson.
Whatever. Really? Really? Don't Miss Jackson me when you killing people, because you are. You're a co-conspirator, mother. And I don't hear anything you ever say, because you're allowing these seniors to go through this, and you are a senior. So we spent $75 million, y'all asked for, to fix this problem. And you go get these crappy, pure water filters. Do y'all realize you can't even run hot water through them? Did you read the sign instructions yourselves? Do you know you can't even turn your water on halfway for the filter to work? It has to slow drip through there. No, you don't know, because you didn't read. Why is there only one person over at St. Peter's giving out filters? Why is there one young lady doing that by herself? This don't fall on the water department. Elder, y'all send somebody from your office out here in the community so there's no lines. How dare we have seniors waiting over an hour? And then people here, your little minions, oh, well, this is good to see the lines like that. No, it's not. It's disrespectful. And I know they could call and get a filter because I spoke with Kareem. But that ain't the issue. People not waiting for you to bring them a filter. They want to go get one. So the only thing you guys could come up with all this cancer, benzene, and chlorine in the water, all y'all could come up with is this little sorry $40 filter to put on the kitchen sink. So residents ask, what about the bathroom? What about the shower? And you know what y'all staff telling them? Oh, well, just get out the shower quicker. Or you only brushing your teeth. You're only using a little bit of water. And that's what they saying. And that's what they saying. Y'all better be glad I wasn't there because they be on live so I could sue some more people. Are y'all crazy? Y'all knew this was a problem. Raz reaching out to everybody now because he's scared. The state getting ready to throw all of y'all under the bus. Murphy trying to figure out how he can exit plan hanging out with the Essex County crew, particularly Newark Baraka team. Because y'all still lying to the residents. So if y'all ain't afraid and y'all think all this water clean, why you ain't testing everybody? Test all the houses. I want to see y'all go to the senior buildings and tell them their water is okay so they can sue y'all individually. You need to stop lying. There's no retribution now.
Thank you.
You're not welcome. We sick of you.
Let's go.
No one else appearing? Thank you, council members.
Not just yet. We have a rebuttal.
Mic back on?
Turn his mic on. Yes, Council President Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. Ordinarily, at the close of citizen comments, it's my practice to not say anything further and allow the clerk and the council to respond as it sees fit. However, there's been some politically motivated misinformation that I think we have to address to the residents. The residents have been provided with appropriate mechanisms that have been put in place to address the concerns with respect to elevated lead levels. With respect to larger buildings, and I presume when people talk about senior citizens buildings, the larger buildings do not have lead service lines, so our senior citizens who are in those buildings don't have...
Would you repeat that statement again?
Yes, larger buildings, which I presume were referenced with respect to senior citizens buildings, don't have lead service lines. The size of the service line that provides water is over 2 inches, and it would not be a lead service line. It would be a line that would be unaffected with respect to lead. Regarding the...
Would you repeat that statement?
Will.
One more.
Absolutely. Larger buildings are served by a service line that is not made of lead. As such, it is impossible for lead to leach out of the service lines because they don't have any lead in them. So those buildings are not affected. With respect to whether or not a filter is on one shower, it's unnecessary. People generally don't drink water while they're showering. Most people are using their shower to wash filth off their bodies. Those people who are drinking from their showers shouldn't be doing so. Go to a kitchen that has an appropriate filter so that you can drink the water that has had the lead eradicated from the water, and there won't be any issue. The filters that aren't used for hot water shouldn't be used for that case. To the extent you want to have hot water, use the filter to draw the water and heat it up. As most people do when they want to have coffee or tea or anything else, is they take the water, they heat it, they pour it in their coffee cup, or they make their coffee, and the water is fine. I don't want to rebut one by one each comment that anybody's made, but I think it's important that the residents are sure that they don't get the misinformation, and if they want to contact the water department, they can do so. If they want to go online to the several websites that we put up to have the information, they can do so. If they want to come to any of the distribution centers, they're welcome to do so. If any resident, East Ward, West Ward, North Ward, South Ward, Central Ward, any neighborhood wants to have their water tested, we will do so free of charge. Just contact the water department and we'll send people out there to address that. The concern of the citizens is paramount with this administration and with this council, and we'll do everything we can to eradicate these issues. With respect to the lead service line issue, the replacement of the infrastructure, as one individual indicated correctly, there does need to be some infrastructure remediation. There is a plan in place. And we are partnering with the state to provide $75 million to eradicate that issue. It's going to take time to eradicate that issue. In the interim, we have two separate issues. One is the elevated lead in the water right now, and the overall replacement of the lead service line, so we won't need to have these corrosion control mechanisms in place. It'll take some time for that to happen, but the administration is working diligently to have that done, and we'll provide more information as it becomes available. But the residents must apply to have their lead service lines replaced. That information also can be obtained through the water department.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank
Clerk.
you.
Mr. Clerk.
Council President.
Mr. Clerk.
That concludes the meeting, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
You better watch what you're saying, bro.
Mr. Clerk.
Yes, ma'am.
Wake up.
That concludes the meeting. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Don't go back to the scene of the crime. Criminals breeding criminals.
Okay.